Welcome to the 10th episode special of the Soundtrack of Self podcast. You guys, I am so thrilled. It's the 10th episode, and though it may only be the 10th episode, I am so proud and so happy to have the resources to do this, to have an audience, to have you guys tune in every time and to give me feedback, positive or constructive. Every feedback is greatly appreciated. And just to have this consistency that I reached the 10th episode, and it's really, really great for me. It's an amazing feeling. I am so happy to have you as an audience. So I made a little poll on Instagram as of what I should do for the 10th episode special. I had 3 options, which I honestly cannot remember the third one, but it got the least votes anyways. But the 2 other options were a book review or episode shut outdoors. And you guys, or most of you, voted for a book review. So here I am with all of the books that I want to recommend and review a little bit with you. I picked 10 books. I read a little bit more than that, but I picked 10 books that I really, really, really find highly recommendable, as well as I could learn a lot from. And before I get started, I do want to say that I got me a second microphone, so I have some plans to invite guests in the future. Wanted to let you guys know that the microphone actually arrived today, so I was like, cool, in the future I can actually have different guests on the show or on the podcast. So yeah. You guys, the first book I want to recommend is a biography by Trevor Noah. It's called Born a Crime. It's a it's interesting. It's a really, really good book because it shows you what challenges you have to go through as a colored person, born and raised in Africa, immigrated to the United States. So he is just like a person of color, born and raised in Africa, where he was not seen as a person of color. He was basically white. And then when he actually came to the States, he got treated very differently. And it was a big challenge for him growing up in an environment and in a country where he has brothers and sisters or people around him that are like a different color than him, though he also has that color, just not as much. So it was very challenging for him. And so this is what this book is about. It's very interesting to see because now, he's a successful guy, and this book describes the challenges he had to face growing up and how it shaped him to be the man that he is today. So Trevor Noah, Born a Crime. Really, really good biography. The next book, no kidding, I finished in 2 days. Usually it takes me so much longer to read a book, but this book had me hooked and I finished it in 2 days. It's called Attached. It's about attachment styles in a relationship. Now there are many attachment styles, but the most common ones are anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, securely attached, or even like a mix of avoidant and anxious. And also what's interesting, which I have actually learned from the book, is that you can be a securely attached person, but the wrong person can trigger your anxiously attached style that you may have underlying, or an avoidant attachment style. Though you may be a really secure person, but just with the person that may not really be a good fit for you, they trigger that in you. So this is what I've learned from the book. The book is really, 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 really good. It's written by psychiatrist, and it's about what those attachment styles are, how they can work together, what solutions there are, and how to even be a securely attached person, as well as there are a lot of exercises actually on how to find out what attachment style you may be or your partner may be if you are in a relationship. and how you may learn to get on a better level if that's something that is an issue in your relationship, to have this anxiety and to have this anxious attachment style, for example. So yeah, it's a really, really great read. I can highly recommend that book. Next up, we got The War of Art. The War of Art is a book that is about basically creative blocks. I've read this book probably like 5 years ago, and I really want to reread it. It's about how you can overcome your creative blocks, and it's written really easily. Like he's writing it like he's talking to you like a friend kind of thing. And so it's just a really good book. So if you're an artist, or if you're a songwriter or a rapper or whatever it may be, if you have something to do with creativity and you struggle with creative blocks, I'm not saying this is a solution. What I'm saying is this can help you get a better understanding of your creative block and how you can take steps in order to really, I guess, kind of handle a creative block in a better way and get out of it faster. So yeah, like I said, I'm not saying this book is the solution to your creative block, but it's definitely I would say a worthy read for you to handle your creative blocks and understand it better. So maybe because understanding something could help you get out of that cycle, It helps me, certainly. So The War of Art, not to confuse with the other book, The Art of War. There's also another book, which is also very, I think it's very successful, but it's another one. This is the War of Art, and it's about creative blocks. So yeah, next up, we got The 4 Agreements. I've read this book twice. And this book, I would say it's a great reminder. Every time I read it, I'm just like, man, I wish I would have, implemented that a little bit more. So this is why I keep rereading this book, because the more repetition is key. So the more you read it, the more you're going to implement that or remember yourself or remind yourself. So the 4 agreements, basically, they are 4 things that you can do for yourself to actually just live a mentally easier life. The 4 agreements are: be impeccable with your word, don't take anything personally, don't make assumptions, and always do your best. And they, of course, in the chapters, the author elaborates on those things, but it's just a really, really great read in order to have mental stability, if that makes sense. Because when you keep reminding yourself, hey, don't take that personally, or always do your best, even on a day where you don't feel like doing it, just do your best, even if it's just like take a shower or something, then that's also already doing your best, that day when you feel like you can't do anything. So this book is just a really, really, it's really, really great. The 4 Agreements. The Art of Good Habits. My dear, dear book. I have made an episode about habits a few episodes back, and this has been initially the book that had me consciously start my habit journey. This book gives you practical tips. It gives you explanations as of what impact those habits that you have directly on your life. It gives you different examples of habits in a relationship, habits with your foods, habits with your friends, habits with time, and all of that stuff. Like basically all areas you can imagine. You have all areas that affect your life, habits with money. So this is a really, really great read. If you want to improve your habits, if you want to implement new habits, if you want to understand how habits have a direct influence on you and your life, then read The Art of Good Habits. So the next book is not an easy read, but is a really, really good one. This book is a conversation between Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce D. Perry, which is a trauma expert, a brain development expert. And they have a conversation. So it's kind of like Oprah Winfrey talking about her experience and from what she's seen. And Dr. Bruce Perry kind of describes how it actually, where it's coming from and how our brain works when it comes to certain traumas and how we develop with them, through them, and out of them. What happened to you? They talk about trauma, resilience, and healing. It's a really, really, really amazing book. It's easy to understand because it's kind of like a conversation they have. So it makes it really easy to understand, even though there is some neuroscientific facts and data and stuff, but it's explained in a very, very easy way. And so this book really helps you understand that we shouldn't be asking people that are doing bad things or committing crimes or people that are just like doing something bad. We should not ask them what's wrong with you. We should ask them what happened to you. Because essentially what I got from that book, everything we do that hurt other people, that go against rules, that have something to do with a lot of protest behavior, something, taking drugs, going crazy, physically assaulting people. This book will explain it in a way where you can understand, like, hey, those people are not bad guys. They just have a bad past, which all of us have to some extent. And so this book really puts it down in such a great and understanding way. So, What Happened to You by Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. Really good read. Next up, we have 101 essays that will change the way you think. This book is actually pretty thick, but this book has questions in there. If you love journaling, if you love reflecting upon you, if you love getting to know yourself, if you want to get to know yourself, if you want to get to know yourself on a deeper level, if you want to understand yourself on a deeper level, and if you just want to build yourself to be the person that you imagine yourself to be, this book can actually help you because it has really meaningful questions that you can ask yourself. How I would say this book would be really helpful is if you implement that in your journaling. You just take some questions. For example, I marked something here, 16 questions that will show you who you are and what you're meant to do. For example, if you don't know your purpose in life, if you don't know what you want to do, implement that in your journaling. And I promise you, you will get to know on a level you didn't know yourself. Surrounded by Idiots. I know it sounds a little bit funny. The title sounds a bit funny. Listen, this is exactly why I even bought that. Because I was like, hold on, this sounds interesting. Especially this book. This book poked my eye in the bookstore during a time where I was like, I don't fucking understand people. What the fuck? This is why it caught my eye. Surrounded by Idiots. So this book kind of describes how this is also the colors. There are 4 different types of people. It describes the function of being a red person and the traits of being like a red person, a blue person and stuff. And what kind of people get the most along with, what kind of people get the least along with, and how you actually can build that understanding towards people who you never understood. So the funny thing is, this book is called Surrounded by Idiots. This is why I bought it. But essentially, this book makes you more understanding of the idiots, which you think are idiots, just because they just don't have this understanding of the people around them. So this was kind of like a little flip for me. I was like, okay, hold on. Did you just call me out? So yeah, surrounded by idiots. If you think everybody else around you is just fucking stupid and you don't know what the fuck is going on and why nobody understands you and why they don't understand you as well, this will maybe brighten your understanding of other people and make you call them less of an idiot, because essentially we're all kind of idiots. This is what I got from that book. Big money energy. I got this book because I'm about to start a new job and it has to do with sales. And I've never been in the sales kind of thing. I've been a barista and I've been selling as a barista, but I've never really been a salesperson, as of where I have like to call people and be like, are you interested in this? And are you interested in that? So I want to really develop the skill of being able to sell something. And why? Because I think it will be very beneficial for my life, as well as for my music and for basically all areas of my life when it comes to the business side. And in this book, he describes how he changed his mindset from being this guy that has pizza boxes all over his little studio apartment, which he can barely afford, and, you know, being a real estate agent and just, you know, for like low price rent apartment, showing it to low cost, low income families and stuff. So he kind of describes how his upbringing was from that old Ryan to the new Ryan, kind of. So the chances he took, how he changed his mindset, the crazy risks he took on his way up. And it's just super inspirational to have read this. Big Money Energy is inspirational. I started following him on Instagram because I just really found him really inspiring to see how it's really just a mindset thing. And this is what I've gotten from this book. It's a mindset thing. You know, he was thinking all of those things about himself. This is why he never really developed or elevated. And so through this transformation, through this awareness, he actually got to where he is today, which is, I don't know what his net worth is, but I'm sure it's millions. So Big Money Energy, Ryan Serhant, really great. The last book is a book I have not yet read halfway through, but so far, I do want to say, if you're interested in psychology, if you're a little bit interested in biology, if you are interested in why we as humans behave the way we behave, why we do the things that we do, unlike the book What Happened to You when it comes to trauma, the book Behave is more about the neurological understanding as of what happens to us when we're like triggered. What happens to us when something happens, when we get to this fight or flight response. What is really going on in our bodies, and even how other animals even are kind of similar to how we react in certain ways. So this is a very, very big book. As you can see, it's very thick. So I haven't yet read it halfway through even, because it's just it's really a lot. But so far, it's such a great read. I'm going to read you a little bit of the description of the book. So why do humans behave as they do? We are capable of savage acts of violence, but also spectacular feats of kindness. Is one side of our nature destined to win out over the other? This is the acceleration story of human morality and the science underpinning the biggest question of all. What makes us human? I will record an episode, I think, about it as soon as I finish this big book. But so far, it's a great read. It's a little bit difficult, but I think it's going to be really, really worth it. But yeah, so far, those are my top 10 favorite books that I highly recommend. I really think though all of those books had a huge impact on my life, because they just made me understand things on a whole nother level. Things that I did not get from watching YouTube videos or watching TikTok videos or Instagram reels. You know, I can really recommend every single one of those books that I have presented to you. With that being said, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next episode. Bye-bye.